Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Show. This is Jake. I will be your host today.
That was over dramatic.
Shut up and sit down.
Because this message is for the experienced cyclists who've been at this a long time. You guys do not screw this up.
I see you clean tripping. You never ever manage. Clean as the new square. Clean was for last year.
Do not screw this up and make cycling this obnoxious, exclusive sport anymore with your dumb rules and making fun of the new guy on the group ride.
Here's my sunscreen. I got the disc brake. I got my fork ranked. I got my seat dropped. I push it real.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Dr. Martin Luther King once said that the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. Well said.
Roadies doing laundry for every little spill. I wrote it so hard. I got dirt in my grill.
And you answer them. You help people out, but you don't shame them. You don't make fun of them. This is a community that we're all in.
I got a 9-inch travel. 30 inches. 30 girls.
Everyone who learns how to ride a bike now is going to be one less person who's honking at us in the street later. It's going to be more people who are advocating for bike lanes and safety.
That's right. You gotta get dirty.
We have another chance at cycling being awesome, and let's take advantage of it. Let's grow this community together, all of us.
Cycling is a lifestyle capable of improving the world. It is also a way of bringing people together.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance, the Mr. Mustache here for you.
In studio.
Nice.
No.
Sitting across the table from Lance today, Mr. Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking pretty reasonable.
No.
Not good, but reasonable.
Questionable.
So that's where we are.
Still questionable.
Last week, Lance was holding hands with Matt, but I think Evan got a little jealous. So sitting to Matt's left, holding hands with him right
He's
now,
sitting on his lap.
Mr. Evan Price.
You know, I would ask what everybody's drinking, but nobody's drinking anything. I brought barbecue chicken in a little thing, but it leaked into my bag. So now I'm in trouble. I have a fork, and it was cold, and I forgot Jake doesn't have a microwave here. So I'm just eating or drinking nothing right now, which is very rare at this moment that I'm not eating into the microphone.
Are you? Yeah, usually
and that,
you are.
Folks,
eating
is why we don't keep a microwave here.
Yes. It's just because of Evan.
Hey, Lance, we got a full house today.
We have a bunch of people in the room at the table with us.
We do. It's sitting
Biggest
next to you.
group ever.
Sitting next to you, race promoter Eric Cimmiyotti. How you doing,
Brian Cimmiyotti.
Close enough. Okay,
We'll get the Brian name right because we screwed it up.
I just said Eric.
You got it correct.
No, I do that stuff on purpose. Don't worry about it. Sitting next to Lance, Brian Cimmiyotti. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, excellent.
Nice. And back for third time? Third time now. Scott Scholz.
Third time's a charm.
You think you would know better.
We're kind of sick of you, Scott.
You think you would know better by now.
I'm only here for moral support for Brian. So, yeah.
Right on. And then we've got Stefano from Biciclista here. How you doing, Stefano?
I'm good. I'm doing the exotic back row.
The exotic back row.
Stefano's off the table. We've got the table full.
It's because we smell. And that's reasonable. It's a certain kind of smell we have going here. It's not good.
Awesome. Hey, let's jump right into this thing. We got a lot of people to backpedal this week. Lance, go.
I rode my bike all week. Had a couple of fantastic. We had great weather here.
There was some good weather
all week, so I did manage to get outside almost every day and ride, which was
I was
quite
almost
nice.
glad to see rain today because I have some indoor ride stuff. I need to do a lot of indoor ride
There's
stuff.
some
coming
rides
up.
that need to happen.
Yeah. So
yeah, I rode a long day with Jake and not the Dialed crew, but with the Mari group on Saturday, which was quite nice.
I do want to hear about that. I know while Jake's away, who cares about longer back?
Jake stepped away. The Mari group is an older group of guys and don't go real fast. So Jake and I joined them knowing we'd kind of be trouble. And we were really good for the first half of the ride.
And I think they're really experienced, and I really, really like that group. Yeah. They're one of my favorite rides because they know all kinds of cool routes, and they come up with great courses.
A different route every week, which is great.
And it seems like a good group of people.
Yeah,
and they're smart bikers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
until sometimes get into trouble.
Until the second end when Jake took off and I chased after him, and then
I did nothing of the such. I never do that.
You guys,
we did
can't
that.
control yourself.
Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, we had a little dialed gravel group that went out. There were 8 of us, that rode over in the North Plains, Scappoose area in like Dixie Mountain and Otto Miller roads over there, the gravel roads over there. It was great. 50 miles. Hanel wanted to take as many KOMs as he possibly could. So it was hot. It was hot and heavy riding. We had a good time. We took some downhill KOMs. Me and Paul and Terry Hamness, and then I did not take any uphill KOMs because I'm not in any kind of uphill shape.
Are you sticking around in town, or are you getting out of here?
I'm probably getting out of here within the week. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
All plans are
see which way the wind's
soft.
blowing and
Yes.
kind of just go that way?
It depends on where the weather goes. So, had a decent week of riding. I'm done.
Mr. Cimmiyotti. See, that's how you change it up so we don't screw up your name, right? Yeah, there you go.
You got it.
How you been, man? How's your last week?
Good. We backpedaling. Been out at the Echo course, just kind of riding to get like a GPS file for putting up on trail forks for racers for the
excellent
race. And did a little ride with Stefano and Scott on Wednesday, and then went up to the dash point. Didn't really ride, just kind of hiked around and cheered Scott on. And
oh, cool.
That's kind of what my week's been.
You guys rode in the Tarbell area on Wednesday, is that right?
Oh, we did that too,
in Clark County, Yakult area, Tarbell area. Yeah, it's beautiful mountain biking up there.
Yeah, there's still snow, so we were limited with trails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool. Mr. Scott Scholz.
Yep.
How was your week, my friend? You did a bicycle race.
Yeah. Scott
You're the one
raced.
that truly gets to backpedal this week.
Yeah, I've been heckling Lance to make it out there with me. One of these days. I've had a couple. There's been 3 mountain bike races, early season stuff.
It's all up in Washington State stuff.
Yeah, the Voodoo WSMTB series.
Yeah.
I like it. The vibe is very short track, XC, cyclocross. You see the entire family come out. It's not just the dad who's racing or the mom who's racing or the son. So you see the whole squad. Mm-hmm. I did well. I did first place in the 35 to 49 category. The first weekend. The second weekend, I was told I got first, and then I got home, and they're like, "No, we fixed the results. You're second." And I'm like, "Shoot," because it's
they fixed the results, or they quote unquote fixed the results.
Well, the guy who won is the father of Jack Springer, who just went to Cyclocross World.
Yep,
so
did.
it's in the family too. If they show up, they win.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was already telling the girlfriend, I'm like, at best, I'm second or third.
Yeah.
Their time trial starts though, right?
Yeah,
so
not all of them. The first one was mass start. The second was time trial, and that's dependent on if it starts on single track.
If it starts on single track, they time trial start you.
Yeah, it's like
that's
6
fair.
seconds apart.
Yeah.
But I came into this last one, and Brian came up with me, and I was like, I need to like dig deeper, like channel anger or something. Yeah, because like you in a time trial start, if you don't have like the rabbit in front of you, it's easy to settle and be like, this, I'm hurting enough, I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
But you're always willing to hurt a little bit more to get on someone's back wheel. And then once you get to them, you're proud of yourself, so you push more.
You want to drop them.
Yeah, you want to drop them.
Yeah.
And that happened on this last one. Calvin, Jack's father, didn't show up, but I was able to take first on that, and it was 4th overall, which I'm more proud of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Did you beat Brian Smith?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did.
So Evan Plews, which we all know.
Yes.
Took first, and then Keith Robinson took second, and I forget.
These are big hitters in the Seattle mountain bike scene.
They make everyone else look like idiots because they won by like 6 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did. This is a dash point in Tacoma.
Yeah.
I did the race last year. So, which I had a blast at. It's a cool little, it's all single track trails inside this little park right in Tacoma. And so.
Yeah, you guys are doing it right in Washington. Like, we have just Gateway Green in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones in Washington, they were funded by REI. I don't know, the research I did. But they put so much money into them. And they're like, well, if we don't have trails in town, we're not going to sell as many mountain bikes. So they put that money, and it's actual mountain bike trails.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's it's seldom like to see a jogger or a runner, like angry to see a mountain biker.
Right.
It's like, they step to the side and let each other go through, and it's just known. And I'm like, I haven't seen this dynamic. Like I've gone down a mountain bike trail in Fire Lane 5, in Forest Park. Oh, dude, they want to set you on fire.
Yeah.
But what are you doing here? We're actually allowed to go on this one. Like,
There's a few fire lanes you're allowed to ride mountain bikes on in Forest Park. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my back pedal.
Yeah, that's cool. The REI mothership's up there, so that makes a lot of sense that their flagship stores up there to fund that kind of stuff. So cool.
Yeah, not sponsored by REI, but thank you.
We do appreciate that, though. Stefano, how you been?
I've been good. I mean, Wednesday I had to ride my bike because this guy, they tricked me into going, and I have to thank the snow being still there, so we cut the ride short. So my legs were already shot after that climb we did. It was fun.
Good.
Long enough to work out, but not too long for my current condition that is like 0. And yesterday I was so pumped that I went for another like an hour spin on my gravel bike just to make them jealous on Strava.
Perfect.
I always try to keep like a baseline. My baseline is like overtraining is bad, so I try to go as less as I can. But
you live here in Portland, right?
Yeah,
Stefano. Yeah.
Before we get into this little triathlon takeover that will ultimately happen here in just a moment, let's talk a little bit about Biciclista real quick. Why don't you tell people what Biciclista is?
Biciclista is a brand that I started with a childhood friend in 2007.
Okay.
He has this company that does print on fabric. We call that sublimation on technical fabric.
Sure.
And is specialist in that. And when I figure out that, I can do like a small run of fun stuff, I can wear me and my friends to go race a 24-hour mountain bike race at the time. So we started doing fun stuff out of it. And after a couple of years, he told me, why don't we do our own brand? So it's a team of 2 that started Biciclista.
Yeah.
So I still do all the design and advertising and all the physical output of the brand while he take care of the production.
Okay.
It's like a very small niche brand. We do everything in-house. All the material sourced in Italy. So that is what we do.
Gotcha.
And it's exciting because you have like 100% freedom of the direction you want to take with the brand.
Yeah, well, for those that don't know what Biciclista looks like or what the brand looks like, you have to go to their website. They've got some of the coolest designs that you're going to find out there, and it's just like, it's just stuff that you don't typically see anywhere else. I mean, you guys do a fantastic job. You've got quite an eye.
Yeah, we keep expanding that direction. Now, one other childhood friend became part of the business in Italy and is a triathlete.
Oh, wow.
So we are collaborating with him. We have a new triathlon-specific stuff coming in. Like,
now, you brought some shirts in today for some people that may or may may not be triathletes at this table.
That was fun for us because he wanted something to say he's a triathlete. So we took our character that is called Helmetto. It's like a bicycle helmet with eyes that is actually the B of our brand. And it says swim, Biciclista, and then run. And in the back is like, or whatever.
Or whatever.
Just have fun. Take your time. Go out and have fun, exercise. And that's basically the mood of our brand is all about fun and colorful.
Yeah. And another thing that we do appreciate, you're always out at a lot of the local races and events. You've probably, if you've been out to any of the cyclocross races, pretty much you've seen Biciclista and Stefano out there in his little VW van, which is awesome, with all of his stuff. And he just is a big supporter. So we appreciate
what
that.
I like to do.
Yeah.
I've been like an event organizer myself for more than 10 years in Italy. I set up the single speed cyclocross series in Italy, and this event called Rockville that has been running for the last 14 years.
Sure.
So I really appreciate the racing side, and I like to give my take of fun of it.
Sure.
And it's a passion. So for me, it's a pleasure to be out there, to know people, and to enjoy the accomplishment of every friend that is on the course. every weekend.
Very cool. Well, thank you, sir. And it's, glad to have you in studio with us today. Mr. Matt LeGrand.
I was going to say, like, the material of, like, the gear looks so nice. And I sometimes feel like, you know, you see cool brands and things like that, but if the material's not, like, there, you don't end up wearing it that much. You always gravitate towards, like, the material that's good, you know? And it's, like, it's kind of nice that you guys are kind of putting that first and kind of getting things that way. Not that the designs aren't amazing. Like, if you guys go check out the website, it's pretty cool. You kind of fall in love with the design first when you see it. But yeah, and the triathlon gear. So, I mean, what's not to love there? My back pedal can be quick. I crashed my bike yesterday. Saturday, it was gorgeous.
You got to
Saturday.
clarify. You crashed your mountain bike.
Crashed my mountain bike.
Yeah.
Saturday, the weather was gorgeous, and I worked on some video all day long. And then I was like, I think I ended up riding like indoors or something because it was just. And then Sunday it was gorgeous, and we were at a swim meet all day with the kids, and I needed to sneak something in, and I snuck a mountain bike ride in before the Super Bowl start. And yeah, triathletes and mountain biking. That should be enough explanation, really. And yeah.
Ouch.
I definitely gashed my shin pretty bad and wasn't sure if I needed to go to the emergency room yesterday.
Why would you need to do that? You got a built-in doctor right at home. See, Kristen, come.
Is his wife? That's not how it
she
works.
Told me.
Jake.
She was like, "You need to toughen up."
Rub some dirt on it, you big Sally pants.
Rub some dirt on it. We're late for the Super Bowl party that we're going to. So yeah. So then I did really think it was going to be pretty bad, but today it's so much better. Like, I think it was like one of those things where you have so much swelling around the shin bone or whatever that it's just really excruciatingly painful. And I'm sure you guys have seen this too, like where you hit your shin really bad and it's got like this almost dent in the bone. It's like that plus a lot of blood. And I was like, this is definitely something broken. And then, but now today I'm like, well, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Much better. And I'm just kind of got the general soreness in different locations. Like my quad is sore, my neck is sore, like just weird stuff like that. So I might take the day off today, or maybe I'll just get on the trainer. I have a lot of trainer stuff that I need to do. There's a whole bunch of products that I need to test that I'm really excited about. One being that shirt. Yeah. And so I might do that test. There's this shirt that I'm testing, and it's basically, it checks it's looking at your breathing rate and how much ventilation you're actually taking in. And it's basically like this tech shirt with like this Bluetooth piece that connects in the back. And so you can do some really interesting stuff as far as like detecting when you move from your true, aerobic to anaerobic zones and things like that, and getting like a specific wattage for when you actually switch zones. So I'm going to do some testing. The video won't be out for like 6 weeks because I'm going to do testing now and then training block and then testing again to see what I can see. And then Evan's going to help me with some testing and things like that as well. But eventually I have to do the testing to get started. And so today might be a great day to do that.
Training block, is that you like you're going to make a triumphant return to like kick everybody's butt or what?
No, that's when I like carve some wood and a block. No triumphant return, but I will probably train some. Who knows? I don't know.
Get ready for the.
I gotta get ready for my mountain biking Olympics career, which I'm pretty sure is coming up soon.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Mr. Evan Price, how you been? What's new?
In more mountain bike news from triathletes, I signed up for the Telluride 100 yesterday.
Oh.
Yes.
Which is a really dumb idea, and I'm so excited for it. It's going to be great. It's at altitude. There's a lot of climbing. I just bought a mountain bike recently, and I've ridden on it 3 times. So we'll see how this goes. But luckily, Telluride's not terribly technical.
Is this a qualifier for the lead boat thing? Or?
I don't think I need to worry about that.
Lead boat was like the qualifier for the Leadville
Leadville 100, yeah. So I think the Telluride 100 is a qualifier, if I remember right. I'm not too worried about that, though. I'm just trying to not die during this ride. So it will be a blast. Lance has already told me he's coming with me, so it's going to be exciting to have Lance Hepler there with me.
Fat chance, man.
He promised. Let everybody.
It's like 10,000 feet of climbing in the 100 miles.
Somebody told me it's more than that too. That it was like, we have a friend of ours who did it, and he said, yeah, it's like starting at 10,000 feet and you get around 12 or 14 is what he was saying. So
you don't go below 9,000 feet.
Yeah, and it's
The
a good
whole race.
It's a good thing that here around Portland we're at a screaming altitude of about 50 feet at my house. So I think I'll don't worry. I'm going to be plenty prepared for high altitude. Fully adapted to sea level.
It's 13,000 feet of climbing.
Gotcha. I don't like to look at numbers, Lance. I like to believe.
That's
I just like to.
Perfect way to go.
I'm just going to
through life.
practice visualization instead of actually traiing for this. So
start training with that oxygen tank on your back, buddy.
I'm considering it here pretty soon. I'm going to start training with a paper bag. But the only thing I have in my back pedal is my train's been amazingly boring for the last 5 weeks and consistent. And yesterday I cried because the Bengals lost the Super Bowl, which this is a cycling podcast. But let me just give you a little story about myself. I grew up an irrational fan of the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost many football games for many, many years. And then this year they decided they were going to lose less games and win more. And they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then they lost. So, that's okay.
Did that
they
last
were so
2
close.
minutes?
They were
Just
so
like
close. I was having heart palpitations in those last 2 minutes. This is where I hide this part. Since I've moved here the last 5 years, I really am not much of a football fan anymore. But being from Ohio, when you live in Ohio, you do not have a choice. You are a Cincinnati Bengals fan or a Cleveland Browns fan.
There's nothing else to do.
And every Sunday, your mood is determined by what happens there. Now, I would race on Sundays, which, not being Catholic, that was against what I was doing. It was the fact that you weren't watching football games at that time is what bothered people. So that state is probably in a true state of mourning right now and needs, I hope they're in everybody's thoughts and prayers, because Cincinnati is a sad, sad city today. But it's a young team. Joe Burrows is a good quarterback. We'll see how it goes. I'll pay attention to football again now, but yeah, it was a sad evening.
I was trying to explain the game to my 10-year-old daughter because she hasn't really watched much football, right? Okay, so we're getting towards the end, and she's like, why did they get all those points, or what's this? And I think that it was right as the Rams had scored. And she's like, all right, so they get 6 points, and like, yeah, but they can get a 7th one. And we're just explaining all this stuff. And then as the game's playing out, I'm like, oh, it's over. I bet you Evan's crying right now. Those words came out of her mouth. She's like, why would Evan be crying? And she's like, is that because he's crying because the game's over? I'm like, yeah, Cincinnati lost. And she's like, why does she like Cincinnati? So it was just kind of funny. Like,
I watched it with David Goodman too, who's an LA Rams fan. So it was not, that was rough to watch. It's like, I know everybody's like, oh, yay for LA Rams. They haven't won a Super Bowl before. I was like, they've been a team for like 4 years. The Bengals have been a team for like 200 years and have never won a Super Bowl. So
when did they come back from St. Louis?
That was probably 6-7 years ago, I think.
That,
yeah. That's a good question, is when that was.
I remember the year that they left Anaheim to go to St. Louis. That was probably back in like 90.
It was the mid-90s, wasn't it?
6 or so, 7 maybe, somewhere in there. But yeah. Crazy.
Tough Sunday. But bike, swim, and run has been going fun. And I got a half marathon here coming up soon. And that's about it. Yep.
All right, to cap this off, my back pedal was not exciting by any means at all. It was lots of trainer stuff. And then we did that fun little Mario ride, which was all fine and well until the wheels came off of me. Lance managed to run some stuff over after
I flatted pretty badly. Well,
ran over something pretty
I ran over
substantial.
something. It like stuck in the tire, and then flew off.
Yeah.
And then sealant sprayed everywhere. And then it sealed, and we kept riding.
Yeah. To start that ride, I felt perfect. I was fine. Nothing wrong. And as a matter of fact, I'm like, we were supposed to go easy, so I wasn't even thinking about like having to perform at all. And then we're riding, and then I don't know, it was like 20 or 30 miles in. We just started going a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And the next thing you know, like there was like 3 of us, and we started with like 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that.
And then we hit it pretty hard for
started
40 minutes.
We'll get to that in just a second. But I was supposed to go on the gravel ride, though, and I was feeling fine until Lance had to stop and put some air in his tire. The sealant did his job, but he needed to put some time. And I'm like, my lungs feel really tight right now. This is weird. I feel like I'm gasping for air. And by the time I got home, I was completely shelled. This was like all within like 30, 40 minutes. And then I was on the couch for the rest of the night. Tested negative twice, and no, there's nothing wrong with me. And just started like coughing, and I got sick, so I had to miss that that glorious gravel ride because stupid sickness got me. But it's neither here nor there. The fun part of the week was Friday. We recorded a little video. Matt helped us out. That was a good time. He was slung out the back of a minivan, shooting some video for us, and Lance and I were talking shop and creating a video. And I did take advantage of some of my downtime yesterday, and I started the editing process of that. So it's coming together. Should be fun. Stay tuned to a YouTube station near you.
It was a fun shoot. It was some drone footage and then a bunch of rolling shots out the back of a van. So
can you tell if the back of the van shots were functional?
I went through all. There was a couple spots where it was blowing out, but I've got supplemental video from the GoPro that's going to work just fine, as well as some GoPro stuff that I can cut in there, and I can make it work.
Yeah,
you know that.
There was one spot I told you like right after it happened where it's like you go from shaded area to like bright noon on a bright sunny Friday, and it was just like, this is not good for camera stuff, but whatever.
Yeah, so it's going to work out just fine. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. All right.
Champ here. I'm all
Champ
about
here?
having fun. You know, get a couple of cocktails.
You got some cocktails in you? Are you still cocktailing from Super Bowl, Champ?
No cocktails for me.
Champ Bailey, what's up, buddy?
Champ is here. The early season road racing has kind of started. There's the Tour de la Province, which has started, that Alaphilippe has been racing. And I think the biggest news was... who was it?
Quintana looked great.
Quintana just blasted
Tour
up
de
this
Provence,
climb.
also known as who's in shape too early.
Yes, because it's way too early to be in that good of shape. So that was kind of interesting that Quintana did so well, even though Alaphilippe is right up in there. And then the Tour of Oman has also been going on. And guess who won a stage of that?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
The Meg's Missile.
Nope.
Mark Cavendish won one of those stages.
I love how everybody's like, there's videos this final sprint. And they're like, oh my gosh, he comes from 10 guys back. Yeah, because the wind was a tail cross. And he timed
You're
it
gonna
well.
make excuses.
No, I'm not going to make excuses. It's the Tour of Oman.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly.
It's like...
No. But after they finished that race, he was not happy.
It's because
they had like the full team. Like they're like, we're supposed to be celebrating right now, and it was full Mark Cavendish.
It's because he lost his lead-out train.
No, I know.
So he had two lead-out guys, and he was 6 wheels behind him. He wasn't even on them.
Yeah.
And they went, and he was like in the back, and ended up kind of surfing and winning the race on his own. But yeah, I'm sure he wasn't happy about his lead-out. So,
breaking news: he's still a jackwagon.
No, that's what Evan said. And he already won one.
Well, Evan's
true to form.
Exactly.
Yes. Whatever Evan picks is not what's going to happen. We already know that.
Good times.
Well, it's a battle for Mark and for Jakobsen to get on the tour team, and they're 1-for-1.
Yeah, I think so. So it's pretty tight.
Yep.
Stefano.
A quick note for my buddy Filippo Ganna. Have you seen him on the bike, on the TT bike?
Yeah, he crushed it.
That is like a school book on how to be on a bike, and he's as tall as me.
He's a big guy.
So.
Yeah. And then he got disqualified yesterday.
Yeah.
No.
Did he really? For what?
Yeah, it was dumb. That was dumb.
He had a predetermined bike exchange at the bottom of the final climb, and you're not supposed to have a predetermined spot to switch bikes. It's supposed to be organic.
How are they supposed to know what predetermined is? Were they
Thank
just
you.
camping out there?
I looked at that
question.
rule. It's the dumbest. Oh, well, okay, and this is a strong statement. This is the dumbest rule the UCI has ever supported. And there's a lot of dumb rules
Worse than
the
the
UCI.
socks. Worse than the socks.
This is
Wait a
dumber
minute.
than the socks because you're right. They're like, you can't predetermine spot. How are they determining who's predetermining and not?
I don't know.
They literally have a carpeted section at the Tour de France where they switch bikes. That seems pretty predetermined.
And it's also, to me, is like, why would you punish being well prepared?
I don't know.
That's like
They didn't
that's
like what Felipe
no. We
Gana
only want
did.
teams to be disorganized and operating like Cofidis. We don't want any Ineoses or Quick Steps that are actually doing it well. Okay,
that's a pretty chaotic thing to do to begin with, and it would make more sense to be safe. And
thank you. Yeah, if they actually care about rider safety, why wouldn't they be like, this is a predetermined bike exchange section, so you're not doing it in the middle of like a downhill or something like that?
Well, it's like he wasn't like at the tail end of the peloton. He was like in like sixth wheel. And he like nodded to his guys and pulled off, and they swapped bikes to a lighter climbing bike, and he, jumped on. Anyway, it was, for whatever reason, they disqualified him for that stage, but
dumb.
Yeah, whatever.
I've seen that happen before where someone has attacked off the front to
swap a bike.
Swap a bike.
Yeah.
And when he went to get back in, like they're like, no. You're I'm like, he worked for it.
That's right.
He built the gap. Yeah.
You're not letting you back in.
I feel that's more respectable than like getting in the draft, taking out, then getting back in.
In other news as well, on other things I'm going to be wrong on predicting, Egan Bernal looking healthy, looking not too bad.
Is that what you said?
Start the tour. That man will be at the tour. I'm still holding by that.
He's walking.
He's walking, and he will be riding. I'm sure he's already riding. I bet he's already spinning.
I saw something that came out that he was having. There was rides posted to his Strava account when he was in the hospital, or the day that he was discharged, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, he's already back to riding." I'm like, "That's not possible. How was that happening?"
I mean, Lance Armstrong was spinning on a bicycle in his like oncology recovery room, so it would not surprise me if Egan Bernal was like, "Get me a trainer here. I'm going crazy."
No. This was an outdoor ride.
It was an outdoor ride.
Outdoor
then
ride.
those are like probably accidentally uploaded later. There's no way they were letting him out of the hospital. And I would not put it past Egan Bernal to sneak out of the hospital, grab a bicycle, and ride around.
I don't know.
That's why I'm saying he's going to be at the tour. This guy is
He's
like,
in a
he
neck
lives
brace.
to ride. This man lives to ride.
Yeah. I wish him well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Nothing but the best for him. Champ out.
All right, guys. I know that you got some runny triathlon-y things that you want to add.
There actually is, real quick before me and Matt shut up for the rest of this. National records went down in indoor track yesterday.
All right.
In the same race on the same Bowerman track team, who has been quiet in the last couple months. Bowerman's been a little quiet, and they come out to, was it Boston? Yeah. So they go out to Boston and run an indoor 5K, and Mohamed, Mark Scott, and Grant Fisher all tear this race apart and run the USA, Canada, and UK indoor national records in the same race. Grant Fisher, what was his final 2K close?
Did they quit testing again or something?
Yeah. I still think I'd be shocked if Grant Fisher is. Grant Fisher is he's in school right now for engineering in like a PhD program, master's program. He's a smart kid.
But that time is weird.
It is weird. It's weird. 12:53. It's weird.
Okay.
But I do think that Grant Fisher is the most underrated runner in the world right now.
I only agree with you because of that time that he just put out. Normally, I look at him and I'm like, he's talented. Obviously, he's like one of the top 3 Americans in distance running, but not 12:53 talented. He's like 13:01 talented.
It was a bit strange, but
it's weird.
But I do think he's going to be he's going to be the next thing for America over the next 5 years.
I hope so. He's one of my favorite runners because he's smart and he's just like very genuine. And he would say stuff like, I'm new on the team or whatever when he went to Stanford, and he was like, I just want to, slowly figure out my place and just take my time growing over the next couple years. And you're like, I like this guy. He's not like the normal high school phenoms that come through and they're just like, you're kind of a jerk. You're kind of full of yourself. He has got his head on his shoulders for sure. But at the same time, how do you drop basically 10 seconds off a 5K
boom,
and set an American record,
break records,
and like it's weird.
In other news from cocky former high schoolers, Cooper Tier and Cole Hawker ran 3:50 for the mile indoors, which for anybody who has not known running, that is really, really fast. And they were less than a second off of the American indoor record held by Bernard Lagat. So,
are you suspicious?
Don't be suspicious.
I don't have my headphones on, but I can hear it. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Something's not right.
But yes, that's basically all the running news right there. But that is within 7 days, 2 crazy fast American races, which was awesome to watch.
Well, and the women ran fast too. There was Gabriella, something, I don't remember what her name is. She set an American record for 5K indoors too. 14:31 or 32, if I'm just remembering all.
And the Canadian record was set in that same race too. All Bowerman people, I think. Yeah. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they were all Bowerman.
Are you sure they measured the track right?
That's what I was thinking. Like literally, I'm like, the problem is you got to measure this track correctly. This is a 200 meter track, not a 400 meter.
Right.
Yeah. It's something like that. It definitely seems weird. Suspicious something's weird in the water in Boston. So
crazy.
Nice.
Anything else, boys?
Anything in triathlon? I didn't see anything.
Everybody's training a lot. That's about it. Apparently now you got to train 30 hours a week to be a pro. So I'm on the back end of this.
Was this just a COVID thing, or are they still going out there and attacking each other on segments? Like the whole
that's
limit
done.
thing.
Everybody's going real. So it's funny how triathlon is like the king of trends. Whenever there's like a trend every offseason, like last year it was like everybody go after KOMs and try to be a real cyclist. The year before that, it was like everybody Zwift race each other in COVID.
Yeah.
It's like everybody got into Zwift racing. This year it's like, oh, we're going to train like real runners and go out and run these insane 5Ks. And everybody now is like lactate testing themselves. Yeah. So that's like the thing now is everybody's doing lactate testing. So apparently you just got to like be Norwegian is what it's everything the Norwegians just did this last year. They went out and dominated everybody. So everybody's like watching their YouTube videos and trying to carbon copy the way that they're training is what's happening.
Good times.
It's embarrassing because those guys are extremely good, but I almost think that they realize that everyone's watching them and they're like trolling them a little bit, you know? I'm like, oh, you don't have your elbow patch on? Well, of course you're not going to run 12:55 in a 5K at the end of a triathlon. You know?
I mean, are you even wearing this glucose monitor? Like, do you even know how much blood sugar's in? And all these other American pros are like, I need to know what my blood sugar is too. You're right. I'm a rookie over here.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And Lionel's the worst. He's like by far, and he's like the most visible. Lionel Sanders. He's the most visible triathlete, you know, for sure, because he has a very popular YouTube channel. But then he also just jumps on every trend and changes his like training program or his coach every other week or whatever. And like I like him. It's just how many times is he gonna make a video that's like I'm changing my training program? Like, he posted one today. Yes. I wish I was joking. I'm not.
Literally at 11 a.m. today, that exact title was posted. I'm changing my training plan, quote unquote, was the title of the video.
So bad.
Okay.
Can I hijack this for a second?
Go.
Okay, so I just set a PR running.
Whoa, congrats.
On the treadmill.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know if that's respected or...
It is.
Sure.
All right, so 5K, 32 minutes.
Congratulations.
But what's cool is...
Any
what's cool
PR.
Hold on. If anything is your first...
Yep.
It's a PR.
It's a PR. It's like birding. You're like, oh, that's a lifer. That's a lifer. It could be like a common bird.
Yes.
Okay. The funny part to that story was that was at a gym by the house, West Coast Fitness. I do the trainer, the rower.
Yeah.
And
you also PR'd that day.
No. Definitely did not. But I did like 30 minutes on that, and I'm already self-conscious going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what am I doing here? And I go by myself all the time. Most people do. Yeah. And I have this huge microfiber towel. It's humongous. Yeah. It's like 8 feet long, 2 feet wide. And I'll have it in my bag. And so I'm on the trainer, on the rower for like 20 minutes, and I'm sweating up a storm with the face mask on. And I grab the towel and I wipe my face, and I just throw it down by my water bottle. And people are looking at me, smiling, laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, my form is ridiculous. Like if I have to cross the street at a red light, I forget how to walk. Like if I can feel people looking at me. Yeah. So I'm like committed to finish the 30 minutes. I see people smiling and like pumping each other's shoulders to look over at me. And I'm like, dude, this is so stupid. They leave. I finish the rower. I go into the sauna. I pull out that same towel to take in with me. One of my girlfriend's underwears were stuck to the towel.
Oh, no.
So when I wiped the sweat off my face, it was like a pair of panties were on the towel.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. But
you just put it
we
on.
need to end the podcast on that story. That is absolutely hilarious.
Yep.
Looped it over your ears for a face mask.
The only thing that would have been better if you were like, and I grabbed my mask and I put it on and I kept rowing. Wait, and it wasn't my mask.
I didn't know until retrospectively how embarrassing that truly was. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't ever go back there, Scott.
Oh, I'm going back. I'm going back today, actually. Yeah.
I love it.
All right. That's 38 minutes.
That's normal.
Me and Matt are done. I'm going to eat my barbecue chicken over here now.
Wait, let's get into the topic for today. Let's get into the topic for today, and we're going to talk all things mountain biking, and more specifically, EPO Red to Red, which is a local mountain bike race coming up here. And there's going to be kind of like a little through story, a little through topic that we're going to talk about when we get into this. But first and foremost, let's introduce EPO Red to Red to those that don't know what it is. And I'm going to let Mr. Cimmiyotti over here, Brian. Sorry. If I had like a nickel for every time I've done that to a guest, we'd have about 50 cents. Anyway, let's have you talk about Echo Red. Tell us about the race, what's going to be different about it, when it is, and all the fun things. Promote your race, damn it.
Okay. This is going to be our 14th year.
What? Really?
Yeah.
14 years.
13th edition. We had someone in, I think, 2020. But,
okay.
Basically, we used mainly the same course for the whole time.
Where's the course held?
In a historic Echo, Oregon. It's kind of my neighborhood. I live out in Eastern Oregon.
Sure.
This is like a half hour from Pendleton or something. It's about 2.5 hours from Portland, east of Portland. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So, kind of a thing for me. I mean, I help kind of start the trails, make the trails. And one thing led to another. We created a race, and one thing led to another. Than that, we started to have actual racers come, and it's amazing to me to see people come all the way from all over the place to ride my trails.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I need to get closer to the mic.
So I have a question, Brian. The place where you built the trails, is that private land?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like, this is like rolling hills of eastern, Oregon kind of, and there's this little valley, this dip in the hills, and all the trails are built into the hills, right? So that's private land then?
Yeah, it's owned by Lloyd and Lois Piercy. They own the Snow Road Winery.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Which is the little winery that's in the town of Echo.
And we encourage everyone to go ride that do ride those trails. Make sure and stop it down in Echo, stop by the winery, pick up a bottle of wine.
Lance, doesn't matter if you don't drink. You need to pick up a couple bottles.
I have come away with a couple bottles of wine from that race before, and they've promptly gone to somebody else.
Take them this year, please. I will gladly take those this
year. If I get a bottle of wine this year, I'll bring it to you.
Nice.
So when is the race scheduled for in 2022?
We're going to be on March 19th.
Okay.
Tomorrow is a big thing for us. Is we're going to announce the start times.
Okay.
So we've been kind of waiting on that just to see safety protocols for like starts.
Yeah.
And we're feeling really comfortable that we're going to go ahead and have a traditional start for us, where we're going to have just 3 main waves. We're outdoors. We're feeling pretty safe.
Yeah.
And then that's instead of like last year where we had like a remote start and finish and like kind of smaller waves.
Yes.
We're going to have the start right on Main Street, Echo, Oregon. And then racing coming and going right back into Echo.
That's awesome.
And that's going to have the neutral rollout with a lead vehicle.
That's correct. We'll still have a neutral rollout on the pavement.
Yeah.
Until we hit what's called Snow Road. Mm-hmm. As soon as racers take a left-hand turn onto the gravel, racing begins, and just go as hard as you can until you get to the single track.
All hell breaks loose to get to the single track first.
Okay, so I noticed there's a couple different distances depending on which categories you fall into. Do you mind going over those details if you remember them off the top of your head?
Yeah, we got basically we call it long, middle, and short course.
Okay.
The long course will be for the elite Cat 1. It's about 32 miles, under 3,000 feet of climbing. And there's Cat 2 or short course. That's going to be 24 miles, close to 2,000 feet of climbing.
Mm-hmm.
That's medium.
And that's medium middle course. Yeah, sorry. So that's the middle course. Then we'll have a short course for Cat 3, which is it turns out to be close to 1,000 feet and just about 14 miles.
Good.
Now, someone experienced mountain biker like myself, would you say, like maybe like very close to pro, but also maybe on the Cat 3, or if there was a Cat 4, I'd be there. What are the trails like? Can you?
I would say that it's a great course for people getting into mountain bike riding, racing. We're single track, but we're desert single track. There's not a lot of like roots or rocks. We do have some like sections with some rocks. We go through a little drainage, but the trails are easily navigatable by an intermediate to beginner rider. It's a good place to get people into racing.
They're relatively tame and very flowy.
Do you think I would survive?
You would survive.
How many times would I crash?
A
Zero.
couple.
No, 0.
It's not technical.
Yeah.
So it's not technical, and there's climbing. once you hit the single track, it's all pretty flowy, nice single track. There's a few rocky spots, but it's nothing like, oh, what the hell am I going to do here? It's like you can rip it.
I would say it's technical relative to speed.
Yes.
There's speed limits. So you could go safe, or if you want to go full send, you have to earn that by actually putting in the power.
Okay.
Because it's really rolly and
I have
punchy.
neither power nor technical skills.
Liar.
So maybe we play it safe.
Well, I like firsthand experience. I went and I worked with Brian Cimmiyotti at the race, and he's like, "Here, I want you to race too." And I only had a cyclocross bike.
Okay.
And it was my first mountain bike race ever. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it on a cross bike without ever pre-riding the course and knowing what I'm doing. And there's a race line that's like a rock garden race line, like a crow fly is the fastest way is straight through.
Yeah.
If you have a bike that will do that. I had a bike that would not do that, but I was able to just go around to the side and finish the race.
Yeah.
So even suggesting people like a fully rigid bike, you're set.
Yeah.
You're good. You can do it on a gravel bike. I kind of get nervous sometimes thinking like a dude on a gravel bike who punches the asphalt out the gravel road and then holds a good spot onto the single track.
Could be a pretty advantage.
Yeah.
Could be good advantage there.
Last year was a little different because we had to have smaller start waves, and so we kind of took out the whole start, the straight easy start and the finish that was all on like open road and open gravel roads. It was mostly single track. Mm-hmm. So like in our wave, I was in the Cat 250 to 59 wave. It was a race to the single track.
Yeah.
And then that was it. I beat.
Well, you're strong enough to stay out front, but if say you weren't at that front at the pointy end, you would have had to go through some traffic.
But I did know, okay, I need to beat these two guys into the start of the single track, and then I'll have a chance. And I beat him in it, and that was like, it was just like, okay, power for the next hour and a half, and just don't let those guys catch me because we were able to do that. But
can this be a round table to get Lance to Cat 1? Yeah. So him and I can go head to head.
We could just decide now that it is so. Make it so.
It is spoken.
It's such bullshit because I look at the race times, and it's above like all of the people I'm racing with in the Cat 1 field, so it's arbitrary. I'm like, it's still cool that it's time trial, or that it's a chip timing,
yes,
and you know where you stack up because everybody who races that sees those times does that.
Yeah, like you see where you stack up.
I did this well in my category, but like you do that little sneaky look, like where was I overall?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to race the Cat 1.
So
because the Cat 1 is 45 plus, and I'm 50. I'll be 52 this year.
72.
I feel like I'm 72.
So I know that Echo is not a massive town. I imagine that there are like a couple of hotels that are in the area and things like that for people because, you know, our audience, you know, might be all over the place or whatever listening. They can all descend on Echo, and I also know that there's some camping options as well, and there should be like a very cool option for someone with a van.
Yeah, there's lots of vans there.
There's a lot of vans around this table, but
were you there last year?
I did go last year.
Did I see you camp?
I camped out by Hermiston, out by the wildlife refuge, just me and my wife.
But I think that they have for this race a specific spot that's close to the trails for camping.
Yes, that's correct. We have another announcement to make. We have a kind of working with Echo Bridge Cellars, which is another winery, wine place in Echo.
This place sounds awesome.
I know we got two wine places.
All vineyards. This sounds great.
Brian's teeth are just purple.
Vineyards and mountain biking. That's it.
They're going to offer their parking up for race day parking.
Cool.
Along with anyone that has an RV, they'll let them park there. No hookups, but it'll be no charge.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'll be right as you come into town. The first building on the left, that's Echo Ridge.
Cool.
And
the camping that's at more on the trails, the trailhead area.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of that, but I stayed there last time, and it was my introduction to the mountain bike scene. And it was so cool because there's a huge bonfire. Everyone's feeding the fire all night. And I'm next to Clara Hossinger and Emmett Culp and like heavy hitters that are like shooting the shit the night before. And the next day they bring it. And I was like, this is the scene.
That's fun.
Yeah.
camping will be at the trailhead, which is called Snow Road winery trail system.
Cool.
It's an old used to run cattle out there, so there's a spot where they had load the cattle up, and that's the campground now. So
it seems like this environment where it reminds me of like some of the gravel scene kind of stuff where it's like this is like why these events get so popular, because there's like cool bonfire and people hanging out, and you get to chat with the pros or some of the best, cyclists in the country, and then you go toe to toe with them the next day, and everyone gets to do everything, which is just such a cool experience. So I expect your race to explode over the next couple of years, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
So last year, you had pretty good numbers last year, right? I mean, I know that everybody was like chomping at the bit to get back out and start racing. Did you guys see an uptick in terms of like the normal registrations that you would typically get, despite the fact that we're still kind of dead in the middle of pandemic times?
Yeah, we did have versus 19, then we canceled in 20.
Correct.
Oh, is it? 2021 we came back. Okay, so it was 20 we canceled.
Yep.
2021 was actually just as good as before.
Oh, good.
Even though we had to have the smaller waves and then all the different things.
Yeah, you guys had good numbers, good registration
So
out there.
people were still coming out. We were happy about that. Yeah. To come all the way out to Eastern Oregon.
Yeah.
And right now, numbers are looking
and
good.
we're up. We're going to have the last decade, this is going to probably be one of the top 2, I think.
Oh, wow. Will you have like a cutoff? Will there be like, we got to turn off the fire hose?
It will be 300 riders per field, which is like 900 total. So I don't think we'll get that much, but that'd be cool. I mean,
are you open to share what kind of numbers you saw last year? How many total racers you had out there?
We were little
he
over.
hates this question. I ask him every time I see him.
Yeah, we were a little over 400.
400 last year. Okay,
and I feel like we're going to be close to 600 this year.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We're in the mid to high 500s in my prediction.
I'm in the category talk, because they start the Elite Cat 1 and I think single speed also together.
Yep,
the long
that's
course.
right.
I'm trying to get him to separate those out. I'm like, I don't want to see how bad I am compared to the elites. Can we just not see them? It's so disheartening when someone rides away from you, but it's 35 someone's, and you're like,
the whole field rides away. Yeah.
I mean, I'll try to. We're always going to line them up. Elites first, then Cat 1, 19 to 44. So as they line up for the neutral start, we'll trying to tell people to stay in their category as they roll out neutrally.
Yeah.
So you still kind of know who you're racing against.
Yeah.
But there's always people that will kind of sneak their way into the front or whatever, or vice versa.
Sure.
Now, if you're like me and you put out a lot of power, it's no big deal. But there are people that prefer like an e-bike or maybe an e-mountain bike. And is there anything new that you have for those people?
Well, we had big plans for this year as far as bringing a real legitimate e-bike race. And we're still going for it. I mean, it's a category it's hard to read.
Sure.
And,
for sure, yeah.
It's brand in my mind, I thought, man, we're going to have a specific e-bike course. I have a specific day for e-bike racing. We're going to get e-bike racers from around the whole country. Didn't work out exactly like that. So what we're going to do, originally we had the e-bike race on the Sunday as a separate course, separate racing. We're going to combine it with everyone else's racing, Oregon XC Series racing on Saturday, kind of between the Elite Cat 1.
No. Put him in the same wave as Scott over here.
Yes.
So you can watch him right away from him.
The funny part is I'm one of the few people signed up for the e-mountain bike race.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have a bike. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's a big announcement. There's a few people that are registered. I'm going to contact them and tell them we're going to move it to Saturday.
Sure.
I think it will be a benefit for the race. I mean, some people will have friends that are going to be racing e-bikes and they're racing the other race. So having it on 2 days might have been a issue that we should have thought of. But we'll have everything on Saturday, e-bike included. They'll be racing the middle course, which is the Cat 2 course.
Gotcha.
And,
now, will they be racing at the end of the day?
No.
It'll be right in the middle. We're going to let the pros go out, Cat 1s go out, a 15-minute gap, then the e-bike category, and then another gap, then the Cat 2 category.
Gotcha. I was thinking, if you put that at the end of the day, how many people would entertain the thought of coming back for a second race on their e-bike to really just kind of drain what little bit they have left, but knowing that they've got an e-bike motor to kind of propel them through that, so that maybe there's a chance I can
That'd
maybe
be
I
fun.
can
Do a doubleheader, yeah.
that could be fun. That'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how that plans out or pays out for you. So cool. Any other questions for him about Echo Red to Red before we kind of move this into the little discussion?
Mention pricing. I would say I'd let people know like how much the event costs, and then like information about where they can go to find out more information, or even register if they want to register for the event.
Good questions, Matt. That's why we bring you into this little podcast thing.
Why I'm here. They pay me the big bucks.
Registration's going to be open. We're not going to close registration for a day of race. So even if you missed the online, which it ends on March 16th, you can still come day of race and register. We encourage not to happen, but
yeah,
it helps us. One other really big thing is Friday night for packet pickup. We're gonna announce, or I guess I'm announcing now. We're gonna have live music.
Oh, that's cool.
And a soup buffet at the Snow Road Winery.
Wow.
Which is going to be kind of a fun thing. A local band called JD Kindle is going to be there. Kind of apparently a family friend of ours. I didn't know that he actually rents.
Close friend.
He rents space from my cousin's house.
No friend of the family's a friend of mine.
Well, one thing led to another. I was like, I need some live music, and I contacted Brian Vetker from Baker City because he does that, and he's like, I got a band for you that would probably fit, and it's like, hey, JD Kindle, and I called him up, and he's like, oh, you should know me. I rent the ranch from your cousin Shannon.
Okay.
Thanks, cousin Shannon.
And so Matt had asked too where people could go. Do you have a website for Echo Red Red?
Yeah, it's Echo Red 2 Red XC.com.
Okay.
That's you can find registration details, course maps.
Okay, and is this an OBRA sanctioned race?
It is, and it's also part of the Oregon XC series.
Okay,
so it's going to be the first kickoff for that. So people get gearing up for that.
Lance, do you want to tell people what the XC series is?
The XC series, it's a series of 6 different cross-country mountain bike races, and this year, the top 3, I think it's your best 3 results, or is it 4? I think it's your best 3 results this year. He changed it.
Okay.
This is a Mike Ripley thing.
Yeah.
Your best 3 results for the XC series winner for the OBRA championship, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I made that really clear, didn't I?
What's nice about this?
I like it.
Yeah. I think what's nice about this is being a little bit further east. You tend to get a little bit drier weather, and March can be hit or miss as far as I'm just probably speaking for myself personally. Like if it's pouring down rain, I'm not super excited about going, but get out there in the higher desert. It can be a little bit nicer.
I can't recall a time has it been nasty weather out there before?
Yep.
We've had wind.
I'd be knocking on wood
last
right
year.
now.
Wind is our main enemy, but we've had to postpone the race at one time for snow, but it shouldn't be this year.
2019, I did the race. When we went out there, there was still little patches of snow around, and we were thinking that it was going to be muddy in a lot of places. It was actually really good trail conditions, despite the fact that it had snowed decently that week, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, our climate is desert. We're in the desert, so I mean, any moisture is excellent for if we get rain, the trails are perfect because it doesn't last long. So in the early spring, when we have some moisture, like melt off from snow or any type of moisture, it stays on the ground, and you get probably the best riding conditions of the year from early February, late March.
Gotcha.
So that's why we like to have the race on those times.
Would you say 2.5 hours from Portland? How would you describe the trip for people that are hoping to drive over?
Yeah, you're going to look at close to 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay.
But it's worth it. We're going to have racing. The race won't start till 11. So if people want to drive up till on that day, you could make it the morning. So
that's perfect.
I like to go the night before. You can pick up your packet the night before and pre-ride parts of the trail the day before. So then you kind of know where the tight spots are.
Yep.
But
gotcha. Okay, so I got a question for you. This will be our little through topic. Whose job is it to get people to come out to do bike racing? Really, at the end of the day, does that fall on the promoter? Is that 100% your job, or do you solely rely on other entities to help you out? And if so, do you think that they're doing a good job, and what can we all do better? So that's my question to you, is promoter, is that your job? Is that to promote and to get people to come out, and you're supposed to be out there doing all the everything? So from A to Z, it's all on you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we were kind of talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, as putting on the race, you feel the weight of like, I'm not going to do this unless I can get people, and that's kind of my responsibility. Other than all the other things, like making sure you can close the whole town down for this race.
Sure. Well, because if you think about like road cycling, and Scott can speak to this as well. I mean, road cycling is just going through massive attrition right now. There's less and less people coming out, and there's less and less promoters out there, and there's less and less races. Is that because the promoters aren't doing a good job of promoting the sport, or is that because the community is going different directions? And I think that kind of has a lot to do with it. But if we really wanted to see like road racing stay on the calendar, is that something that falls solely on the shoulders of the race promoter to build up a good race, do good advertising and marketing, and make it worthwhile for people to come out and race their bikes? And it's probably a little bit easier for like, because mountain biking is on the upward trend right now. More people are coming out and doing more mountain bike racing. Gravel, we all know what's going on with gravel. You just put gravel in your race title and you've got a sold out event. And that probably has a little bit to do with white road. But I don't know. I'm always asking myself that question, like, whose job is it to get more people out here? Is it the racer? Is it the team? Is it the organization? Is it the promoter? Whose job does that squarely fall on? And are they doing a good job?
I think there is like trends.
Yeah.
And if you notice a trend going away from what you're promoting, you got to stay on top of like keep like making sure that you're not going to fade out too. So being a little offshoot of that, like, okay, we're still doing road race. I mean, I do the Baker City Cycling Classic.
Yep.
Trying to make it better. You know, it's something that's, how would you say, like, we just got to stay on top. And if the trends are going away, think of whatever way you can, contact teams, look at farther out race teams.
To simplify it, looking into road racing, you have X amount of speed bumps. There are only more speed bumps for road racing.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like when I try to budget a breakdown of what it's going to take to have a cross race versus a mountain bike race versus a road race, the price for flaggers has gone up like exponentially, and they want you to have more flaggers. So something that, like, I hear Mike Ripley, or back in the good old days, it was only $15 an hour, and now it's like up to $45.
Jeez.
So your whole race budget is just to get people there in a vest to flag a corner.
Yeah.
And you have to beg for volunteers for the entirety of your crew.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that for gravel, because you're going on roads that sometimes the county doesn't care if you have a flagger there.
Sure.
There's not enough traffic to justify it.
Yep.
And if you move far enough away from like a city center for a bike race, usually those roads are crap. So it's like, then we turn it into a gravel race.
Yeah.
And it's like the crap road is like justification for the gravel event. It just adds another layer of fun. I don't know, bunny hop a pothole.
That reminds me, before you go on, did you see the clips from the Rock Cobbler gravel race that happened this last weekend in California?
No.
Was that the bull?
Was this the guy who ran into a bull?
No, the bull took him out.
The bull did not run into the mountain biker.
There was
the
two
mountain
different
biker
events.
rode into the bull.
The course went through a cow field that had cows in it. It was part of the route, and there
the
was
guy got bucked hard. You need to watch the video.
There
It's
was
bad.
one
No,
bull
he got lit up. Yeah,
he didn't like,
and not a single human being feels bad for him because he went straight into the bull. It's like, I'm not sure how you saw that going, bud, but
you thought he was going to go like skirt around the side of the bull, and he just turned and whack, just like whipped him off his
the bull
bike.
was being super patient till the very last second there where the bull was like, are you seriously going to run into me? And then just like bucks him and like
He was
runs him
okay,
down.
and he ended up finishing the race. But
Didn't the
was
bull get like
kinda
3 or 4
hilarious.
people though?
There was 2 different incidences, I think.
Yeah.
Where he took out 2 different people.
I think that bull was Cat 1.
he was in the wrong category.
Is that Johnny Knoxville riding that mountain bike or what? No, crazy.
Sorry.
He was not Clydesdale. So back to the road versus mountain bike versus gravel and cross and everything, and road being difficult.
Yeah.
The community needs to want the event.
Yeah.
And like Brian's talking about Baker City Cycling Classic, Baker City wants the event. And that's to have that momentum behind you.
That helps.
That is the starting point.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. Someone bigger than us has our back. Then let's just sneak our community into it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, talking about flaggers. Oh, we're going to have flaggers. What are we going to do? It's going to cost too much. One of the ODOT guys that lives in Baker was like, I can help you guys out. I can teach you guys the class. You can get ODOT certified. You can be your own flaggers.
Oh.
And so at the end of the day, really, it's the municipality that needs to get behind you. And if you've got their support, then it becomes a lot less prohibitive for you guys to put on a race. So is that a big problem that we're seeing around here in general, is that people are trying to put on races and there's just so many layers of complexity with respect to licensing and flaggers and certifications and insurances, all the different things that add up. And that's just making it too much for the promoter to overcome?
Show up to the city council meeting, say you want to put on a race, see who wants to help.
Yeah.
So speaking from like a scene that I know a little bit more is the cyclocross scene, and there was a podcast, Bike Portland, I think, with Eric Tonkin, and we've talked candidly a few times outside of the scene, and he said that Portland is looking for some wins, like with homelessness on all of the bike trails.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel safe riding unless you're with a pack.
Correct.
They're like, we need some wins. Let's try to utilize our parks to give back. And they've been talking to Eric Tonkin about getting cyclocross races into areas that would never have a cyclocross race.
Interesting.
So there's one of the parks right on the river in downtown Portland. You can literally be up on the bridge and look down at the grass field. Like, I know they're trying to get really cool venues, and that's a perfect example of the city finally stepping behind bike racing. Let's pull stuff, because they see what happened with Bridge City, and they're like, this is the first time spectators outnumbered participants. Like, how do we continue that?
Right. Yeah, that was fantastic with how many people were there, and in a time when people weren't showing up to that stuff. And quite frankly, Portland's reputation is not good right now because of all these issues. Yeah.
So coming back to Echo Red to Red, you've said that you potentially could take up to 900 people. How can we get you there? I mean, is it something that you just need to, like, damn it, Brian, market more, advertise more, do more, Brian, come on, Brian? Or is it something where we need to, like, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I have three things to throw out. You can go further on this, but chip timing is a big deal for racers. One, you can expand the awards that you're getting done, custom made.
You're gonna have some pretty cool awards this year. A lot, like, really nice trophies, leaders jerseys.
Dang it!
And then we have Stefano, who's he's involved too, and he's making some stuff.
Love it.
I think it's who you align yourself with.
One thing leads to another. You meet some good guys.
Now, do entities like NICA, do you have like NICA teams coming out there and doing races? I mean, mountain biking in the high school right now is just absolutely absurdly, awesomely huge.
Yeah, and I tried to keep the ear to the ground on that.
Sure.
In where I'm from, in Tri-Cities, they're trying to create a league or a team. So okay, well, I'm going to show up to their first team meeting and kind of let them know about the race. So I guess that's part of being a promoter. You're always kind of who's out there, who might be thinking about coming, who knows someone who knows something.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we can get a bunch of Nike kids out there, I mean, that might be another way, but is it on you to go out there and connect those pieces? Or do you think that that's something where, like, the organization, like Obra, should Obra be doing more to...
It doesn't take much. I mean, you tell one guy and he tells another guy.
Well,
sure.
Yeah, like, for example, Brian made the drive all the way to Portland and then jumped in my car and we went all the way up to Tacoma solely to talk about Echo.
Sure.
And it's like, I find it, for me personally, because I'm new to all this, no one trusts me because they haven't seen me for 10 years. But then, like, they've seen me racing, and it's cool. It's cool to, like, do a race, get on the podium, and then come out and talk to someone else that was on the podium. And usually they're the heavy hitters that, like, inspire their team. So then they go back and they tell their team, like, hey, we just got offered a team discount if we carpool up and make our way over to Echo.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because then they're talking about that for the weekend, and that disseminates to the rest of their crew.
Yeah.
And maybe Brian coming over and having like those really easy conversations added 12 people.
That's
and then the following year, maybe they have a blast. They're like, dude, the soup was so good.
Right. Well, I was going to come up anyway, and it's kind of nice to talk to people, and they're like, oh, you're way out there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from there. So if I made it to here, to Tacoma yesterday, maybe you guys would come back and see me in Eastern Oregon.
Gotcha. Now, what are your normal channels for getting the word out? I mean, you're going out and shaking hands and doing the tour. That's awesome. What else are you doing to let people know about the race?
Just being on Obra. That helps a lot, being at an Obra event and being part of that Oregon series. Over the years, you get a pretty good email list. Like every year, you get another group of riders you can add to your subscribers. I also run a bicycle store, so that helps a little bit.
Good, yeah.
Talking to customers.
What's the name of your shop? Are you out there in Eastern Oregon, obviously?
Yeah, so it's Scott Cycle and Sports.
Gotcha.
And that's we have a shop in Hermiston and in Kennewick. I might be lucky at the location attracting racers because we're kind of about 2 to 3 hours away from like Spokane, Seattle, Portland, Boise, Wenatchee. So I got people I know in Boise handing out flyers.
Sure.
People I know in Spokane handing out flyers.
Which makes it interesting as a racer because you can do your homework and know who your competition is. But then when someone shows up from one of those cities that you just don't race against, you're like, uh-oh.
I don't know who anybody is.
I don't know this guy's history.
Yeah. Overall, we had a lot of fast winners from Idaho, Montana, Washington, Oregon. We got a couple guys from California coming this time, and I think Nevada. I saw. Good. So we're trying to get out a bigger spread.
It's funny how little it takes to make like a promoter smile because we did the race in Tacoma and we're driving home and he has his bike registration set up where he gets a little notification ding on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like driving and it's like ding and we're like, cool. Like if it's silent for too long, you're like, uh-oh. But like every once in a while you get a little ding.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that kind of just gives you that little shot of adrenaline. Get you pumped up and makes you want to do a little bit more when you get those.
Yeah, and it's a reminder to stay on top of it.
Yeah,
like
for
don't ever become complacent. Like you can always do better.
Gotcha.
Offer more.
Gotcha. So where do you need more help then? Who needs to step up to help the promoters out a little bit more? For both, I guess you could say the road and for mountain. Triathletes.
I think just anytime you're out riding with your friends, if you know of a good race ride, let them know. Like, it's a community. Like what most people don't. Racing is intimidating. For one. So there's so many people. As being in a bike shop, and rarely do you see someone that's actually a racer come in.
Mm-hmm.
All you deal with is a bunch of people riding bikes.
Yeah.
So you already know that it's a niche market just to be in a race, and then you're like, it's a niche because it's a certain type of racing. Trying to just feel out if you're into riding bikes, you never know. You might have bought like a little hybrid. Maybe you might want to try a triathlon. Maybe you might want to try a mountain bike race. Having that opportunity, and then we have a group, Dial Cycling Team. Maybe you want to join.
Yep.
Stuff like that. I mean, that's it. I think it's already happening. It just needs to be like more free and more inclusive. This is the inclusive thing.
What about having like just like an open course time? Gosh, it would be hard because you do it on Saturdays, but just make it more of like a festive kind of a thing. Maybe like after the races, you would just open up the course and invite people to come out and see, like, hey, just go ride the trails. Just go see what we're talking about.
That's why we opened up Sunday.
Yeah. So maybe that's a good thing right there.
I mean, I'm going to stay Saturday night into the next day, and we were already planning like the post race recovery from our side of just going riding.
I was even wondering that with like road racing, if like combining the Grand Fonda culture with road racing is maybe possible at keeping road racing alive when you take.
That's
Saturday's the race day, Sunday's the Grand Fonda day, because the Grand Fondas clearly are doing better than road racing right now. And road racing needs like that shock of like beginners coming back into it. But I do think, I was actually talking with one of my triathlon buddies about this yesterday. I think that Peloton and indoor cycling is going to be on the downturn here soon.
Interesting.
I think people are willing to get back outside and realize that you get real tired of Peloton at some point. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Outdoor bike riding is actually really awesome. It's risky and scares people who are like Peloton or Zwifters. But like, I do think that day comes when you're like, I'm really tired of indoor cycling, and almost like you're like depressed of it at some point because you realize that's not bike riding. So I think that is going to happen over the next couple of years, hopefully.
We had this talk briefly last time I was in, and trying to think optimistically was the gravel scene's going to help the road scene in some way. It has to, because it's bringing new people in. All indoor training is going to help. All of the COVID spike of bike sales is going to help. It's some kind of market.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the biggest.
The Cat 5 races are going to be crazy fast if it's all these people who've only been doing Zwift racing jump in. They're just like a 4 watt per kilo like FTP is going to be like a standard at this point for a Cat 5 race.
Like Nate Scott.
A perfect
It'll be Nate Scott.
He's so fast.
And a perfect example was our Mount Tabor series. The biggest fields by far were Cat 5, Cat 4.
Yeah.
Humongous. And if you're a promoter, you're like, yes. It's like job security. Yeah. And I think to double down on your point about Peloton and indoor riding, people are realizing how strong they are, and they want to show other people.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to have your little ego nudged when you go in a group ride, and people are like, dude, you're crushing it today. Like, I'm struggling to hold your draft. And then from there, they go maybe a intense group ride, like Savi shootout. Then they want to try a race. I think
it's like PIR. I mean, like, PIR is perfect. It's like that there's no cars out there or anything like that. It takes away that fear and just gives them that taste of racing.
Yeah.
I think like a road race, like there's benefits that you don't get on a gravel race. You don't have the lead and follow car. You don't get time checks as you're on the course. There's things that makes it the racing. There's real racing action. You have teammates. You can have strategies. You get to do a gravel race, it's just ride. So.
It's hard for a lot of people, though, to get into road racing when there's just this aura about it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is a whole different community, and these people seem like they're so much stronger and so much better. And what happens if I get dropped in the...
Break down those barriers, because it's not, I don't think it is.
Well, yeah, but that's the perception that a lot of people see. And I mean, we've talked about this a bunch of times. We started doing a little race-paced group ride on Thursday nights in little tiny Camas, Washington. And at the peak of the season, we were getting 60 people showing up. And this is just a little small area that we're doing a little 30-mile route. And we're telling everybody, this is race pace. We're going to come out here and we're going to tear everybody's legs off, but we're going to break it down into different categories. And we had an A through D group, so 4 different groups riding at different paces, but every single one of those groups was racing against each other. And then there was a regroup in the middle. Then everybody rode back. And granted, you're going to get separated because, not everybody can, hang with the A group, and the D group's not going to, stick in there for too long. But they had a blast, and they kept coming back week after week. And so that was allowing them to dip their toe into that water. And they're like, I think I want to try bike racing. I can't tell you how many people either came out and did their first race or joined the team or put it on their calendar to train all this year or this off season and do their first races in the spring. And they're I get asked all the time, when are those rides starting back up? When are we going to get back after it again? That was so much fun. I want to get back out there and do it some more. So from a community standpoint, we need to have that little gray area, that little like, hey, here's a place where you can kind of come try this out. Yeah. And if you get dropped or whatever, not a big deal. We're still going to like support you and all this stuff, and not have that stigma tied to the elite roadies that are coming out and like kind of putting their nose up at you if you're not fast enough. I mean, let's be honest, that still kind of does happen. It's getting better. And especially now that people are going to come back from gravel and eventually like people get excited for road racing again, and maybe some more mountain bike guys will come in and kind of inject their vibe. And if you can just kind of make all of this happen, I think we'll see road racing have a resurgence. But I think as a community, we need to do a better job of creating those segues.
I think the main issue is shaving legs. I think that's it. This is what's been keeping the mountain bikers out for years, and this is why the gravel riders left road racing. Is the shaving of the legs became too much.
I thought we broke that barrier down when Lance finally shaved his legs.
I know, yeah.
That's fun.
Well, time trials.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are doing an awesome thing with the time trial.
That should be a lot of fun, and we're inviting as many people as we possibly can to come out and do that time trial. It's coming up on March 12th. It's a week before you, so
great way to prepare.
Yeah,
this is where the triathletes get comfortable on a quote unquote bike race course, and they're like, maybe I could do mountain biking. You're like, yeah, you still can't, but go and give it a try.
Yeah. But we want to just do a little bit better, a little bit different, and there's.
Trying to be
the way
more
that things
inviting to
exactly
it.
the way things have always been. We want to kind of break that. Not to say that they were bad, but like, how can we make it better? Did it get stale? Has it been different? Have things changed and evolved? What can we do differently? And it's a freaking time trial. I mean, it can't be any more basic than that. I mean, and that's a perfect. Hey, come on out and try this. It's just you against the clock.
You're downplaying the way a racer feels going into it, because how many X weeks away is it? 5.
It's
because I have it on my laptop.
Yeah,
and I have a training plan for that time trial.
Sure.
And I'm like jittery nervous.
Yeah.
Because I care, and that's good. Yeah, it's just a time trial, but there's 5 weeks of energy going into this one day.
Yeah.
I get way more nervous for time trials than I ever did for road racing. Time trialing is like road racing. It'll be like, oh, this could be hard, but it also could be not that hard.
Yeah, you can also hide. You can
a
hide
time
a
trial,
lot.
no matter what, if you're being honest with yourself, is always going to suck. Like it's in the best way possible.
I do not know who coined the phrase like the race of truth, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you cannot lie on a time trial. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
There's you know who's back in town?
Uh-oh.
Who I
Who?
just saw riding on Friday.
Who's that?
Kieran Crosley's back in town.
Oh yeah. He moved back to Vancouver.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And he was out on his TT bike on Friday.
Yep.
He's on his way.
He was in the lab twice last week, picking up some parts and pieces, getting ready.
I'll tell you what, the last time we saw him, he was a very young man around here. He is not a young man anymore.
Nope.
He has very large, strong quads.
So I did my homework, and I've lurked the results for like the last 5 years of Jack Frost. Are you guys bringing a whole new audience of people?
Who knows?
Josh Mondo will not be there.
We're hoping
That's
to.
the one name I was hoping was going to be there. But Chris Handel, Dr. Handel now has a time trial bike. Chris Surratt has a time trial bike.
Yeah, we've got some solid guys.
I only have a time trial. That is the only bike I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna. Well, it's pretty much
There'll be a
official.
lot of triathletes there.
We've brought Y Racing on board, and Y Racing, for those that don't know, they are huge in the triathlon community here, and the run community as well. But they've got a bunch of triathlons that they put on, and Chris over there is 100% behind us, and this is gonna be a lot of fun. And we're gonna do a lot of marketing to the triathlon community to see if we can get a bunch of new faces out to try some new stuff that maybe they haven't done before.
Cool.
And we're gonna make it as opening and as inviting and as easy to join as possible. With the we're really going to put a lot of time, energy, and effort into getting more people to come out and do the Eddie road bike category, so much that we're actually coining a new term, not just the Eddie category, but the Eddie road bike category, so people know, like, oh, road bike, I have one of those. Yes, come out and race it. It's one of those things. Then we're actually going to change the just because we can, because we're the promoter, we can make these rules, right? Mm-hmm. So the Eddie category, road bike category, has always been that you can't use any aerodynamic equipment. So no aerodynamic helmet, no skin suits, no TT bars or aero bars, and then the disc depth, the depth of the wheel can't be more than 40 millimeters. That's what it's always been. We're changing that to 55 millimeters because, as people have pointed out, and which makes a lot of sense, a lot of bikes these days come with a 55 millimeter or smaller wheel. And if you don't have another set, I don't want you to say, well, dang it, I can't come out and do that, or dang it, I got to go out and find myself a set of wheels that's going to work for this thing. No, just stick to 55s. That's fine. And come out and race your bike, and we're going to all have a good time.
Just relaxing the rules so more people can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we can do that and we can get more folks to come out, that's what's going to kind of be the shot in the arm. We hope that more people will come out and experience a bike race and say, that was hard. I turned myself inside out, but you know what? It was fun. The vibe was cool. We're going to make it super inviting, get a bunch of folks out there, and hopefully maybe they'll say, I want to do another one. So we're going to do a series, and then we're going to hopefully see more people come out and do other races as well. So it should be fun.
And TTs are fun because as soon as you finish and you get your time,
Yep.
you're like, I can't wait to come back next year more prepared, even if you're completely prepared.
Yeah. Well, in times past, ever since I've been here and ever since Jack Frost has been a thing, it's always been hand timed. In terms of you get a specific start time, you have to show up and you have to be there in the queue. They'll call you up and then they'll count your time down. And then as soon as it's whatever your time is, they'll say, at 9:37 and 30 seconds you go, and then they'll call you up at 15 seconds to go. They'll hold you, and then they'll count down, and then you go, and then you finish. And there's people that are spotting your number, and they're writing down the times, and they're doing this whole manual tabulation of everybody's time. And that takes a little bit of time. There's human error that can happen there. There's little things that go into that. And you usually don't get your results until that night if you're lucky. And then you're going to say, woo, online, I got whatever place.
Yeah.
We're going to do chip timing. We're just going to make it super simple. It's all going to be live. It'll be right there. You'll have your instant results. We can do podiums. We can hand stuff away, and we can have people like hang out and get those results and celebrate people's accomplishments and have fun with it.
On that note, like I know racers who are like, I go, what was your time? My Garmin time was this.
Yeah.
My Ober time was this. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah.
It's the chip time, bud, that matters. That's the start and finish line.
And I've seen that before too. I've seen different times.
Can we have a post-race interview between me and Hannel too, where we trash talk each other just openly over the loudspeaker?
Maybe we need to have the podcast
pre-race and post-race. Yes.
Maybe we need to bring the podcast out there and have it set up so that we can do some stuff.
We can do like WWE style.
Some race recaps and stuff like that.
I call my shot and then
Dude.
promptly lose to Dr. Hannel.
Yeah.
Do a hot seat.
There you go. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, cool. This show's getting a little bit long here. Is there anything else that we as the community and us as a team and us as individuals can do to help the promoters better run their races with more people out there?
I think the word is, we are your friends. We want more friends. We want to be your friends.
Yes.
You want us bike racers, bike promoters want more friends, and we have parties.
Yeah.
We're all your friend, Brian.
We have better food than running races.
And we call them bike races, but they're really just get-togethers.
Gotcha. Now, we didn't really get into this, but I mean, how much time? I mean, it's just kind of a thankless job sometimes. I mean, I'm sure if you got up to 900, you'd probably be having a little bit of a party like, woohoo, I actually made a buck this year, which is great because we want you to
is a thankless
be successful.
job,
Exactly.
We had a talk on the drive over here. Like I was telling him, I'm like, hey, because like when we meet up, it's talking about Echo or Baker or races that I'm doing. And I'm like, they can't always be tinged with stress. Like we have to have excitement that we're happy about. And, we're trying to like pep talk each other into like, it's not all stressful. Like, but until you have the buffer of registration numbers there to cover costs to at least break even. Yeah, it's pretty stressful.
Well, even just breaking even is like, I mean, you've got another job, but that takes a lot of time and it's a lot of stress and a lot of like, oh, what am I doing this for again? Remind me, please.
I know we've talked about this before too, and this is coming from the person who is not a race organizer here at the table at all, but I think too, there's a little bit of responsibility on the communities and the actual cities themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about bigger things on this podcast. We're talking about like the national health crisis in this country. And we're like making it harder to put on running and bike races. Like, are you?
Amen.
I would love
Preach.
to sit down with the Portland City Council and just be like, let's talk very real for a second here. You guys do not care about public health at all. If you're trying to make it hard to put on a 5K, like this is, or charging for the downtown, like the parking fees there. It's like, are you kidding me, cities? Like, this is insane. It's like you invest in all these trails and everything, and then somebody's like, hey, let's put on a community event here where people can get together and have a party and be comfortable and healthy and social together. Like, no, let's make that as hard as possible for you to do.
Yeah.
Like, I think they have responsibility as well as the people who work tireless nights and don't get paid for this, too.
The last, 3 years on the Ober calendar, we've seen a criterium be announced to a downtown city. Like, I don't know, McMinnville or something.
Yeah.
Then the promoter goes and gets the cost of how much it's going to cost. Race canceled.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like that's happening almost annually.
Yeah.
So soon, all it takes is one person to back and be like, okay, let's double this up with like Vancouver has the 2-day, they do the bike race and then they do some kind of a fair.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Was that this last year at the downtown crit?
They had the Vancouver, the courthouse crit.
The courthouse crit, yeah.
But I think it was associated with like
it was
some kind of beer
something that was there.
festival in Esther
Which is
Stewart
great.
Park.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah,
They do that
it's
up
great.
They do that up in Burien. Is that the name of the town in Washington?
No, Vancouver did not make that easy on David DeRoot, though, to be completely honest. Let's not give Vancouver any credit here. That was after I know that he talked with you, Jacob, more in detail about it. They did not make that easy on him. So he had to grind really hard to make that race happen.
I don't know what her secret recipe is, but there's somebody that has a secret sauce, and that is Chris with Y Racing. She's just got a way with the different municipalities where she's got great inroads.
People like her, and there's a reason.
They love her, and she's phenomenal. Like you get to talk with her, and you just like, I want to do stuff to help your organization. It's like the biggest organization out there, but she's got something going on, and I think that she's got something that we can all learn from. once we find that out, we'll share. But it's one of those things where she's got really good relationships where when she wants to put on an event, they've got her back and they are supporting her and they want to make sure that it keeps going on. So I don't know.
I think that's a good point for me. Like, you guys have it a lot harder on this side of the state.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like, everyone wants someone to come to our towns.
They're like, wait, you're going to bring hundreds and hundreds of people to our town to spend money? And
so it's a lot different. They won't.
Like, we'll make soup.
I can hear the 6 shooters in the air right now.
Like, for example, Echo was like, okay, you're going to close the streets down, but pretty much it looks like we only have 3 streets. So that's like more than half the town's going to be closed down.
That's 33% of the town is closed down for the race.
But we don't have a form for that. Like, we have to sign a contract. So originally we just had a little handwritten paper. I'm going to close the streets down and I'll make sure that no trash is left behind.
Cocktail
And we
napkin.
both signed it and that was it. And like lately we got more professional. There's a real form now.
Oh, wow.
And we fill it out and it includes have insurance, stuff like that. And they're going to have fees, but they're like, yeah, for you bring so many people, there's no fees. So that's kind of thing that doesn't happen in big cities. It's a lot. Sounds like a lot harder.
No, here we need
I'm pretty
more
sure
money.
Portland has never written on a napkin, "Hey, you're good. Have a great race." I don't think that's ever happened.
But that's a municipality. That's a group of individuals that understand the value that you bring to the community. And it's not just the fact that you're bringing money in there. Like, you're doing a lot of good stuff for the community. If local people are coming out or you're going to have fun doing that, and it's a fun day. And like Evan mentioned, people are getting exercise. And it's not just coming out and doing the race that day. It's all the training that goes into that. And like, hey, I had fun. I'm going to go do other ones. And all of a sudden you've got happy people because they're training all the time and they're getting fit and they're losing weight and they're progressing through the course of like their whole training process. That's fantastic. I wish more people would see it that way.
Smiling, handshakes.
Yes.
And being
and rip each other's
positive.
legs off. You know, it's great. There you go. Crushing souls.
All right. I think, man, we could talk about this for hours on end. I think we do need to change gears because people are going to start pressing stop on this. So let's jump into one last thing. I know that Evan's probably got to scoot out of here, so we're going to let Evan do his one last thing first.
I'm going and running with the kids at Whisper tonight.
Ooh, yeah.
So this will be fun. They're young. I think the oldest kid there is like maybe 17 or 18. So I'm just going to be.
I think the oldest kid there's 30.
God. Yeah, he's It's going to be me and maybe Matt will come out on his mountain bike one of these days with me once his kids start. You know, once Ethan starts ripping my legs off here in 6 months.
First, it's going to be in the swim.
If his swimming is any progression, as soon as he jumps into any track running, I am in serious trouble.
Dude, we need to race him in the pool because now's our chance to beat him on anything.
It's gone. No, the
like,
window's gone. I'm pretty sure he's faster now.
He's faster than us in anything except for free. We can still beat him in free.
Okay, gotcha. We got to race him like now.
Now's
gotta
the
happen
time.
soon. Very
Wow.
soon.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
We
impressive.
need to heal that shin so we can get in the pool and race him here soon.
It'll be fine. Just wrap it up.
Now you can cut off both legs and have dual Blade Runner thing going on. And you can be super fast now. Thanks, Evan. Mr. Matt LeGrand, you got one last thing for us?
Sure. I always have a video to talk about, and I posted a video that I worked on, like I said, like all day on Saturday. And it was about a new watch from Garmin called the Garmin Epix. Technically, it's the Garmin Epix 2 because it's the second generation device. But the first generation was like 10 years ago or something like that. So it's pretty much a new device. And it's if you're familiar with the Garmin Phoenix watch, it's kind of their like outdoor, rugged, do-all kind of watch. And Jake let me borrow, it was technically his watch, and he let me borrow it for like almost a week and a half so that I could put together this video. And finally got it put together and return your watch. So
that was one of your better videos, Matt. That was beautiful. Your intro
Beautiful.
Crushed it. And that video is taking care of business. I checked, I think you were about 12 hours in and you'd already had 4 creeping up on 5,000 views.
And it's one of those videos because it's like new watch. Like that's a lot of people come to my channel looking for that kind of content. And so I had a strong feeling that it would do just fine. And so it's doing fine. And there's just so much more content coming just because there's like new products being released by all these different companies. And then just small companies too that are doing really cool things that are letting me test their products and stuff like that. And so lots of cool stuff coming up on the channel. I'm very excited about it. And check it out if you're not subscribed already, which I think a lot of the listeners are probably already subscribed. But if you're not, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? Maybe even I could get Lance and Jake to come on the channel with some of their drone skills and us working together on some of these videos and things like that to put together some cool stuff. We had fun when we get together and film.
Talk with Lance last week after we were doing the one on Friday. I said, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the new future. One day a week will be fully allocated towards doing that kind of stuff. And we want to do stuff to help you out as well. So
yeah, that's fun.
That'd be fantastic.
I'm available for work.
Awesome. We'll take all the help we can get, man. Because you get out there and you're like,
oh, this is fun.
And you just don't realize how much time it takes to get going on all this stuff. It's just like, okay, 3 hours. That's not enough time for us to do all the stuff that we want to do. But it's cool.
Stefano, you got one last thing for us?
Yeah, like speaking of what it needs to have more people at race.
Yes, please share.
We need racing to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And fun takes people.
Uh-huh.
I'm from a place where racing is too serious. Mm-hmm. You don't want to race in Italy ever because there is cut one and that's it. So no easy entry to any form of bicycle racing, especially if we are talking road. So here in US, you have the chance to start as a real beginner and enjoy the community. So the community have to keep everything fun till, if you are more than 30 and not racing at the Tour de France, your window to be a pro racer is over. So take that time to have fun.
Gotcha. So I'm going to put you on the spot real quick and ask you one question. What would you change? How would you make it more fun? How would you make bike racing in general more fun here in the States and more importantly here in the greater Portland area?
Take yourself less seriously.
Yeah.
And open up to, you have an extra bike, borrow it to a friend and let him join.
Sure.
A kid that needs help to start racing because you see him riding a crappy bike around the block all the time. Borrow him a bike, invited him to participate in, and then it automatically becomes fun.
Sure.
Because you let someone else enjoy something you enjoy, and the whole community becomes part of the fun.
Gotcha. It's good points right there. I like it. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in today with us too. Mr. Scott, you got one last thing?
Yeah. Racing has begun, so I'm in full race brain. Just watching the dates on the calendar click down, and I think this last one was my best result, and I think because I had a friend there with me. So Brian came out with me and he was cheering me on, and you get to a point in the race where if you're by yourself, you just want to settle for that pain, but like I wanted to give more. Yeah, because someone gave more to me and like came out. So my last thing is being super thankful of the people that I've met. Brian was the very first promoter that I worked for at his race, and he gave me a little behind the scenes of what I would be tackling if I went solo. And I owe a lot to Brian and to other promoters that have brought me onto their crew. So crazy thankful. I'm excited for 2022 and to a good year.
Cool.
It's going to be good.
Brian.
Well, I guess one last thing we were going to say, it's just kind of a pre-announcement.
Oh, drum roll.
So we're going to come out with a...
Do we need some breaking news?
Yes.
Breaking news. Brian's got breaking news. What you got, Brian?
It will be what we call a sponsorship.
Scholarship.
Women's program thing for Baker City Cycling Classic. That's going to help grow the women's category and women's racing for this year. We should have more to come, and stay tuned.
Oh, absolutely love that.
That's a great idea.
Anything we can do to get more women out there racing, to keep us knuckleheads in check and just kind of support the community and on the whole, that's fantastic. Whatever we can do to help support that, you just let us know. Lance.
Just a little more love for Echo Red to Red. It was actually the first mountain bike race that I ever did in 2017. So 2017, I'd never raced a mountain bike. I went out and did Echo Red to Red. I loved it so much. I've done 50 mountain bike races since 2017. So So thank you for getting me started, Brian. It's up to you. A lot of that was up to you. So
Same for me. I did it on a cross bike, came home and was like, babe, can I get a mountain bike?
I gotta get a mountain bike.
Absolutely not. So I got a new babe.
That's awesome. Actually, I used to do a lot of mountain bike racing before I moved here to the Camas, Washougal, Vancouver area, if you will, and got really into the road stuff. When I first moved here, I was hardly doing any mountain bike stuff at all and was just out riding some of the local trails, but I didn't do a mountain bike race. I think I went from, the last one I did was 2015. I did it was a 12-hour race down in like the Temecula area, if you guys are familiar with that. And then I just hadn't done a race until Echo. I did the 2019 race, and that was a hard race. That was a challenging race for me coming back because everybody's heard me talk about this before. I got hit by a car and it was not happy times, and I got pummeled pretty bad. My shoulder was a mess, and my shoulder was just I knew the course, and from talking with people, I knew that I could get it done out there. Had plenty of Bondo and duct tape on my shoulder that day, so I was able to kind of hold it together, and that was a fun race. I really enjoyed that. So, Matt, if I can do it with a bum shoulder that was just a year and a half removed from getting hit by a car and having like multiple surgeries,
easy for a
piece of cake.
Experienced triathlete like
cake,
myself, should be no problem.
So I do thank you for that race. It's a phenomenal race. I think that that's one of those ones where see, they're calling. They want to come to your race. If you're unsure about doing a mountain bike race, or you're not sure if you've got the skills, or you're looking for something that's friendly to newbies, and it can be challenging, but something that you want to come out and at least dip your toe in the water, this is that race. This is the one that you need to put on your calendar. So my one last thing, because that wasn't my one last thing, that was like in capping Lance's one last thing, is we do have the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial coming up, and I'm super excited about that. That's going to be on March 12th. It'll be a Saturday race. It will be chip time. Wahoo has stepped up, and they're supporting the race, and we've got a few other people that we'll be announcing before we start fully promoting it. We're excited about them coming on to help us out. Y Racing will be helping us out as well, and we've got some cool people. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to our teammate Ian Gibson, because he's been really moving everything. He's making everything happen behind the scenes with all of the stuff that I'll say that the crap that I don't like to deal with, like all of the paperwork and the logistics behind making sure that everything's taken care of with the city. So he's doing a fantastic job with that. So I wanted to say thank you to Ian. So on that note, I think that's it. Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming in, gents. We will see everybody next week. Until then, bye for now.